thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring us. Yeah. Happy April Fools, but I'm not fooling anyone today. Yes, I am really doing this. You have to excuse the creative use of footage. Obviously, I can't show you anything inappropriate, but even if I want to, a lot of the tentacle adult films are actually pretty hard to find. Here in the West, we have this false assumption that tentacle erotica is normal in Japan, but it is not. It is just as big of a meme over there. Even back in its heyday, tentacle anime was niche. Nevertheless, it still begs the question, why does it even exist in the first place? Well, I got curious and looked it up. The answer is surprisingly complicated. It is a tale of mythology, censorship, H.P. Lovecraft, and a weird psychology glitch about emotions. We have a lot to get into, so strap in, let's go on a ride.
Release the Kraken!
Tentacle erotica is, in fact, not a modern invention. Here we have The Dream of the Fisherman's Wife, an 1814 painting by Hokusai of the Great Wave fame. In the painting, two somewhat cartoonish octopuses kiss a lady on her lips and her other lips. The tentacles tastefully draped over her body. They aren't visually part of the action, but the text in the back imply the involvement later. Of note is that these octopuses are not animals. They are two yokai with full sentient dialogues. What's even funnier is that this painting is a Rule 34 art. The woman is Tamatori from a Japanese folktale, as depicted in this woodblock print. The octopuses are here too. Other similar works from this era include the drawings of Kitao Shigemasa and Shunso Kazukawa. The impact of these works have on modern anime, however, is the subject of much debate. During the Meiji era, Japan began enacting a series of censorship laws against explicit materials. Restrictions were further tightened in Allied-occupied Japan when Western laws and morals were imposed. By the 1960s, when the first wave of pink films were made, not even pubic hairs were allowed on screen. As such, filmmakers had to include things like bondage and even horror elements to boost interest. While censorship laws have since been relaxed minimally, its impact continues. Japanese adult films tend to focus more on plot and theme, and censorship is the reason why. Due to this complex history, tentacle erotica would not see much action until the 70s, when one man single-handedly reintroduced it to the world. That man is Toshio Maeda. From Urozuki Doji to La Blue Girl, Maeda's body of works are both notorious and incredibly influential. The graphic violence associated with disembodied tentacles came straight from his work. He didn't invent tentacles, but he sure popularized them. So, why did he do it? He answered, "At the time, it was illegal to create a central scene in bed. I thought I should do something to avoid drawing such a normal central scene. So, I created a creature. I could say, as an excuse, this is just a part of the creature. A creature is a creature, so it is not obscene and not illegal." So yes, those aren't tentacles. Those are his erect middle fingers to censorship laws. I don't know how to transition to Squarespace. Okay, how about this? Are you a Cthulhu worshipper? Are you sick of being labeled as a villain? Do you need to clear your name? Why not make a website with Squarespace and show the world the truth? With Squarespace, you can make a professional-looking website in no time flat. A good website lends credence to your business, showing your legitimacy. Either pick a template or start from scratch. The process is smooth and intuitive. With just a few clicks, you can tell the world that you are right. Indeed, have you ever noticed that in horror movies, cults are always right? Their rituals always work, and their gods are always real. But you can do much more than just spread the message. How about selling merch? Squarespace lets you easily set up an online store so you can sell some adorable Cthulhu plushies. Start your free trial at squarespace.com/accidentalcinema. Use the code accidentalcinema and you can get 10% off your first purchase. In his house at Raya,
Dead Cthulhu awaits dreaming.
Check out squarespace.com/accidentalcinema and make your website in his honor. Since the 1940s, when his works were introduced to Japan, the Cthulhu mythos has been influencing Japanese art. From writer Edogawa Ranpo to Ken Asamatsu to manga artist Junji Ito, Lovecraft may not be mainstream, but the undercurrent is very strong. This fascination even made Call of Cthulhu the most popular non-Japanese board game in the country. With an influence like that, it makes me wonder if anime tentacles were also influenced by Lovecraft. Certainly, many of the early examples utilized tentacles primarily as an element of horror. It was scary before it was horny. Dream Hunter Ram is a particularly interesting example. In its original pilot episode, the anime has two scenes in which you see the tentacles doing the infamous things they are known for, violating a woman's body by going into places they absolutely should not be going. Yet, both scenes were only a minute long each, with minimal intention on titillation. It reminds me of that notorious scene from Goblin Slayer. It may be there just for the sake of being edgy and adult. The tentacle scene in question isn't strictly about sex. Instead, it may be depicting a display of power. In her book, Anime From Akira to Princess Mononoke, scholar Susan Napier points out that in adult anime, the only powerful male bodies are non-human ones. The male body that consistently gains sexual satisfaction is clearly other, demonic, made of steel, bulging with tentacles. Indeed, from as early as Devilman, it is very common to see demonic bodies as a sign of male power. It's the exaggeration of the form pushed into a realm not possible in live action. Following this line of logic, tentacles are very much literal demon phalluses. It's an exaggeration of the male sexual power. This aggression on the female characters, in turn, is one more thing to appeal to the male audience's primal fantasy. As a certain TV show puts it well, everything in life is about sex except sex. Sex is about power. It's incredibly toxic and, not to mention, violating, but I will let you decide if you want to cast moral judgment on it. In 1974, two psychologists conducted an experiment. In this experiment, a group of male participants were asked to cross a scary suspension bridge. At the end of the bridge, there was a female volunteer who would approach the participants either immediately or after the participants had rested. The researchers found that the group who didn't rest were more likely to find the female volunteer attractive. The fear and anxiety induced by the suspension bridge made the men more thirsty. This is called the misattribution of arousal, or as the internet calls it, a confused boner. Fear, humor, or other strong emotions can turn people on. Believe it or not, I actually know more than one woman who are into tentacle erotica. In fact, some of the most prolific tentacle artists today are women. As they put it, it was the fantasy of danger in a safe environment that interests them. In other words, despite the interpretation that tentacles are about power, there nevertheless is an element of arousal. Whether or not it is intended purely as a male fantasy, it ultimately doesn't function purely as one. This is why adult films rarely focus only on intercourse. The core purpose may be arousal, but the method is always more varied. Today, we are used to instant access to adult films, short clips that don't have much room to do anything other than get to the meat of it. Even then, many professionally produced adult films would inject a small amount of roleplay and humor just to spice things up. Tentacle anime were from the age of VHS and DVDs, and were often 30 to 80 minutes long. You purchase one in store, and you sit down and consume it whole like a movie. You weren't supposed to skip through it. This is why classic adult films from that era never just explore sexuality, but also violence, crime, and drugs, among other things. The goal is to elicit emotions, even primal responses, through depictions of taboo subject matters. Porn is surprisingly complicated. This is why so many pornos are also horror comedies, and so many horror films have nudity. Tentacles aren't there for pure arousal. They are also there to be scary and perplexing. It's meant to be shocking, and your reaction is entirely intended. In recent years, a new word has emerged in the fandom called consenticle. Basically, tentacle play but with consent, removing the violence and exploitative side while maintaining the fantasy taboo. It's kinda neat, because the Hokusai painting is technically consenticle. Yep, the dialogue in the story shows mutual enjoyment. The woman tells them to use their tentacles for her. I don't know how popular tentacles are these days because, contrary to what this video implies, I don't actually watch tentacle stuff. Look, it was all for research, okay? Anyway, I got nothing else to say, so go enjoy your life. Have fun, be weird. Whatever you do, remember to be safe and responsible. And no, I'm not making a video on NTR.